Hello everybody and welcome to the Top Producer Show. My name is Brandy and this is Jeff. And the whole point of this show is to show everybody what does it actually take to become a top producer. Now this is mainly geared towards network marketing. However, all the methods that we've actually used them in our traditional businesses as well. So feel free to take some notes and we're gonna get started. So we are going over the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. And we're on chapter 8, second law, make it attractive. So how to make a habit irresistible. So the dopamine driven feedback loop. So when it comes to habits, the key takeaway is dopamine is released not only when you experience pleasure, but also when you anticipate it. So like an example that he's had is a little kid who is anticipating going to Disney. The anticipation sometimes is even more exciting than the trip itself. Now, it's still exciting, but just this is where we're gonna go. So when you predict that an opportunity will be rewarded, your levels of dopamine spike in anticipation. And whenever dopamine rises, so does the motivation act. So as soon as your dopamine spikes, you have more motivation. So what are some things that you could do to actually spike that dopamine on purpose? So it is the anticipation of the reward, not the fulfillment of it, that gets you to take action. So interestingly, the reward system that is activated in the brain when you receive a reward is the same system that is activated when you anticipate the reward. This is one of the reasons anticipation is an experience can often be better than the attainment itself. So how do you use temptation to bundle how do you use temptation building to make your habits more attractive? So temptation building works like linking an action to what you need to do. So something that you like doing to something that you already have to get done. Sorry, this cat is driving me nuts. Stop it. But taking an action that you already have to do with something that you like doing. And with reading this chapter, I realized I already did this. So when I'm texting leads, I'm either listening to music while I do it, or I'm watching some TV show that I like that I've watched 100 times. Sometimes we'll throw on The Hobbit and we just have that as background noise. It's something we like to do. I'm a huge anime fan, so I'll take one of my favorite animes and I'll have it playing in the background while I'm texting my leads. And I realized I actually enjoy sitting down and texting people, because I was also looking forward to, oh yeah, I get to watch this, or not watch it, but I get to listen to it. But I didn't realize that I was linking those two things together and creating that habit where I was releasing dopamine. Therefore, I was way more motivated to get that stuff done. So that's basically what I got out of this chapter. What were your takeaways?
So similar, he talked about how to make a habit irresistible. He goes, most of us try to eat well. He goes, but part of the problem is your nervous system is already pre-wired and pre-built, that because of starvation, growing up outside, living in caves and tents and whatever we were doing for thousands of years, the sight of salt, sugar, and fat became high value. Like when we saw that, you want to eat it. Why? Because it's built into your nervous system. It's habit forming. So this makes sense if you're a hunter and gatherer because you're up running around all day. But the reality is if you're sitting on the couch all day, eating a lot of salt, sugar, and fat probably is not that good for you. So this is no longer a need or desire that needs to, be built into the nervous system. But the primary goal of food science is to create products that are more attractive to consumers. So the goal is to sell more. So what they did is they take all the nutrition out of food and they add in all this that's addictive. Mm-hmm. So the reason you overeat is, first of all, they're linking this desire, habit, whatever, to the flavor, to the taste, and they talk about like adding multiple factors to the food, right? It's crunchy, it's salty, and then there's something sweet inside. I mean, they keep adding different sensations, so that way they have you completely linked. Then they throw in commercials that link it to what? Link it to a good feeling. So that's when they're talking, when he talks about making it irresistible, if you anticipate it, meaning the commercial's there anticipating it, then you get it and it's salty or sweet or whatever, and then it's crunchy on top of it, then there's absolutely zero nutrition in it. What happens is your body's like, hey, I'm still hungry, stupid. You're supposed to be, we're eating, you're feeding me, but I'm not getting anything. So eat more of it and more of it and more of it, which is part of the obesity epidemic that we have going on, is we actually allowed and wrote into law. That's why when people say, well, it's legal, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's good. There are a lot of companies that have paid attorneys to do really awful stuff. They're still doing it. So that's kind of, the food thing, why we're addicted to food, why the habit forming, it's just bad. This is a combination, sensation, crunch, taste, smell, right? Law number 2 is make it attractive. That's where the advertising comes in. Are we on chapter 8?
Yes, we are.
Okay, it just seems like I'm reading a different chapter. Make it attractive advertising. The biological sensation of habits is basically, okay, so this is the dopamine spike. Habits, dopamine spike, the feedback loop, dopamine, motivation, learning, memory. That's the repetitive. More wanting receptors than liking receptors. So there's 2 things. We can want something and we can also like it. Wanting something is they're throwing out all the emotional stuff. Right? Liking something is we've actually gone through the process and now we're like, oh, this is good. How to use temptation building to make your habits more attractive. Temptation building is if I do this, then I get that. So for instance, if you love a certain TV show, if you love to play video games, if you love to play Candy Crush or whatever game, what was the game we were playing with the...
Flappy Bird.
Yeah, it's like Flappy Bird. I think it's called Flappy Up now.
Yeah, something like that.
But if you like doing these things and you link texting leads or you link prospecting on, I don't prospect on Facebook, but if you link prospecting of any kind to I get to play my game or I get to watch my show or whatever, you will develop the habit of liking to do the leads because the end reward is every time I do this, I get this. Mm-hmm. And that can be very, very habit forming. And now all of a sudden you have a good habit. And you can link stuff you don't like doing to stuff you do like doing. And then all of a sudden you'll like doing it more. It's not that you'll love it. It's you'll like doing it more because every time you get a reward. And this goes all the way up. One of my mentors in direct sales and network marketing said, look, you need to link every goal to a reward. So he's like, if you hit this level, you get this whatever, purse. He was a hunter, so he was talking about hunting trips and cabins and taking, maybe it's a vacation. If it's higher levels up, if you hit this huge executive level, you get to buy this car. So you go out and look at the car, look at the car, look at the car. That's the reason you're doing the contacting. That's the reason it becomes a physical thing you're going to get if you do the work. And he's like, you should never get to a goal without setting a new goal and having a new reward. So he's like, the purpose of, and this is where the phrase, not the phrase, but the quote about dreams, he said, success is the realization of a worthwhile goal or dream. Success is chasing, like the desire to go after a worthwhile goal or dream. So that's what success is. You're just running from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. And he's like, that's why you have to keep dreaming and keep building and keep growing. Now, eventually, you don't have to buy cars and houses and stuff. You could be giving money away. You're like, hey, if we hit this level, we give 10 grand away. And people are like, oh, but you've already done that. Well, then give 50. You know, if you give 50, give 100. If you can get to 100, give $250,000. I don't know what your goal or dream is, but like, you can keep upping the ante. It can be the same thing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be material self-consumption. It could be doing things for other people.
And actually, I saw something like that on TikTok. There's this guy who, he's a recruiter, and he would say that, yeah, he said that too. He's like, each time I would hit a bonus or hit a goal, he's like, instead of spending the money on me, I would spend something on my family. Like, I would go buy my wife a purse. I would go buy something for my mom.
No.
And he's like, I actually liked doing that more than buying toys for myself, because everybody else really, he's like, I loved seeing other people happy. And he's like, and that drove me more than anything else. Hello.
So, link the action to what you want to do and the action you need to do. The dream plus the goal plus a plan plus a DMO equals a reward, or equals a result, which equals the reward you're really going for. So that's kind of like, I put it together in a formula. So the dream plus the goal plus the plan plus the DMO, which stands for daily method of operation, equals a result. It always will equal a result. The result, maybe you didn't do anything, which equals your reward. Your reward might be you don't have any money, you know, if you don't do anything. If you do something, then how far do you get and what are the rewards? We got the shark tail. What are you doing? So the Premack principle, the more probable behaviors will reinforce less probable behaviors. So if you're really looking to get something done, you look for where you're strong. You know, you look for the habits that are strong and you link them to the habits that aren't so strong, right? If watching TV, and that's in general, 95% of people always choose entertainment over education and work. Always. Especially when working for themselves. Now, I've come up with, and this was more by accident than design, a friend of mine, one of the people I work with, asked, they said, well, you know, I want to learn how to dream build and I want to learn how to build belief. And I started thinking about building belief. And I came up with 12 questions that if I ask you these 12 questions, I know exactly where you're stuck. Exactly. And until you overcome that in that line of questioning, if I ask these questions and I can identify it, I know where you're stuck and you're not going anywhere until you figure that out. Meaning you're not building your business, you're not moving forward, you're not hitting goals, you're not doing the work because one of these 12 things is basically out of alignment. And I've been able to identify it more by accident in the past. Now it's automatic. I mean, it's a 30-minute conversation. And I'm like, there it is. And now we know what to do about it because now we know what we're fighting. It's not all this other, you know, people are like, oh, I just don't have the time. I just don't. No, it's something else. That's the excuse you have for the problem. I can identify the problem and then we can fix it. So if I do want to do something, I get what I really want. That's the whole principle. If I do something I don't necessarily like and I get what I really want, then you can link something that's less attractive with something that's more attractive and you can get it done. So think about this with reading. Think about this with watching personal development. Think about this with prospecting. Think about this with presenting. Think about this with promotion. If you would link stuff that you like to these activities, and you look at your day and plan it out, you could literally redesign, you know, that would be the best way to put it, redesign how you do everything, and you could get the most out of what's going on instead of the least or nothing. But I found until you get these 12 questions like down and, you know, figured out, you're going to be stuck on one of them. Most people never figure them out. Some people go to enough meetings where it eventually clicks, which could take anywhere between, you know, 1 and 4 decades to figure out. Or you could have a 30-minute conversation and figure it out. It's kind of up to you, you know, how that works. So with that being said, that is a wrap. That's what I have for today. Again, tomorrow we do chapter 9, which will be Thursday. And what is the purpose of this? The real purpose of us doing this show is so that way Brandy and I stay on track. I loved the personal development end of this, but I found that I was smashing a bunch of personal development into a small period of, like, I'd read 20 books and then I wouldn't read anything for 3 months. And then I would come back and I'd read 10 books and then I wouldn't read anything for 3 to 6 months. This show, when we were constantly having to do it, what it did is kept me on track, growing at a consistent pace, and I kind of liked that. It was good for us, good for business. Hey, quit tearing stuff up.
It's funny how everybody's quiet before we start this show, but then when we're talking, everybody's ready to play.
It's like having 5 3-year-olds. So chapter 9, and you know, if you need help, if you want to go over those questions, if you want to figure out leads, go over to joinmyleadershipnetwork.com. Joinmyleadershipnetwork.com is the coaching company we put together, is the lead company that we have. Go ahead and fill out, click join now and register. You don't have to buy anything. Go over and join now and register, and then we'll send out a text, because that's usually how we do it. We don't call people. We'll send out a text and see if there's a time where we can go over these 12 questions, figure out exactly where you're stuck, get you some leads, and we'll kind of go from there. So with that,
that is what we have for you today. We're also going to be uploading this to YouTube. So you want to go to the Top Producer Show and subscribe. That way, if you guys want to come back and you want to rewatch this, take some notes, you are more than welcome to. So with that, thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you guys tomorrow